Okay, short reloading video here. I wanted to show you a couple of things extra about how these kind of work as far as when the case doesn't just fall in, you know, perfectly like it's supposed to. I'll see questions on the internet. People will say, hey, they maybe explain or they'll show an issue where they say, well, basically, my case isn't going all the way in. And it may be to this point. They're worried, oh my goodness, do I have a headspace problem with the case, etc. Because, you know, a normal one would go down this far. This one needs to be trimmed, so it's going to sit up a little bit. But you'll also see them where they'll come down to, they'll resize them and all things are good, and then it'll come down and it'll hang about right here, and they're very concerned. You know, what's going on? Is something wrong with my die? Something wrong with my case? Well, I want to show you two things to look at. There's two ways that this can happen, in my opinion. If you've resized a case fully, doggone it, it'll be hanging up like that a little bit. Okay, number one. If this thing got ran through like a machine gun, maybe you bought the case on Etsy or from some, like, you know, once fired brass. If it goes through, this is a 30-06, so it's possible it went through a machine gun. More likely 308 or 223, usually. I guess 50 BMG too, but hey, I don't reload that. So if they went through a machine gun or something maybe with a fluted barrel, they usually get stretched out pretty far. And honestly, I've had with 308, I've had to go through them, run them through this the sizer, trim them back, and then run them through the sizer again because they were failing up here. They were so stretched out, they just weren't reforming for me correctly. So once I trimmed the case back to a shorter length, I was able to finally actually push that shoulder back to where it belonged. They're thick case. Some of these brands are thick cases, and they just got stretched really far out, maybe in a machine gun chamber. Okay, so that's a legitimate failure of the headspace gauge. Other times when it's hanging up just like that, especially out of, surprisingly, a machine gun, let's say, inspect the rim, because sometimes the extractor, maybe the overgas systems, the extractors just tear on these rims really hard, and they'll actually deform the rim a little bit. There'll be a spot in there where the rim just has like an extractor mark that has actually moved metal out on the rim, and that's what's catching on the edge of this gauge. So, you know, I just grab a file. Any piece of steel that is even knurled, you could probably work on these. But I'll just put this in where that issue is, and I'll just draw on it like so. You can use a mill file or a bastard file or any kind of file. And I just start working on removing that piece of the lip that's kind of moved outward. And once that's gone, usually the case drops right in for you. And it tells you, you know, hey, the shoulder's in the right spot and the rim is good enough that it's going to fit in your shell holders and whatnot, right? So if you're buying brass from somewhere, maybe the brass is just beat up, you know, and that's something you got to fix one time, unless your gun's causing it. Okay, and then the last thing is this. Well, all right, that is because you forgot to size the case, okay? This case doesn't go in, right? It don't go in. So this one here has been resized. It goes all the way down to where the shoulder is. This one, it don't go in. That's why this one doesn't work. Okay, that's an easy one.